X-Men reboot for Disney Plus is called X-Men 97, and basically it's keeping in line with the theme that nothing can be new anymore. They have no new ideas, so they have to just reboot and redo everything, put a chick in it, make it lame and gay, as Cartman says. And they did that, right? Now, not only are there complaints about how, Storm, or is it Rogue, they've changed, but they've changed the characters to be less sexy, of course, is what they have to do. But this is a character named Morph. Now, he's almost a throwaway character, but he's kind of important to the lore because he was in the first episode of the show from the 90s, the cartoon that everybody loved. So that's why they're calling it X-Men 97, because they're like, hey, we're out of ideas. We have to go back, 25 years at least to get ideas that other people came up with and ruin them. So this is a character named Morph. He's a shapeshifter, and this is what he looks like in 1997. And now in 2024, they're saying he's non-binary. So of course he lacks the same muscle structure. They want to make sure he's got no discernible features, even though this was his default state before, crazy looking white guy. And now he's got that smirk on his face that says, yeah, I will have sex with anybody. And so the creators, they saw some backlash about this, and they made sure to back it up, even though this didn't exist at the time. So it's the creator, Eric Lewald, and his wife, Julia, and they spoke about the controversy that people, they're saying, like, why did you change this? When it goes to Disney, do we have to make a character non-binary? Obviously, everybody's complaints are right, because you're basically kicking it off, as this person says, the day after the last series ended. But, these people are vastly different. He looks completely different. He's the only character that looks completely different. I'll show you the other version of Storm that they have, which, of course, it's pretty ridiculous, and we are talking about a cartoon. This is the old version of Rogue. I think I keep saying Storm, but it's Rogue. And there's the new version. They always have to do this, right? And yes, it's a cartoon meant for children, and yes, all these things, but it's just interesting that things always seem to go in one direction, and people will complain about this. They won't watch the video. They'll say, oh, it's a cartoon. What's wrong with you? It's not that I care particularly about what they're changing. It's that it's obvious what the agenda is when everything is always changed in one direction. Oh, it's got to be non-binary. Oh, the girl's got to look less attractive. We need to make things, we need to add more gayness and diversity. That's always the direction it goes in. And I'm pointing out that this is for an obvious reason, to further the agenda. So the creator and his wife, along with the director Larry Houston, spoke about the controversy, and they defended it. This Houston guy says, for me, the word non-binary is the same as the word shapeshifter. Every character that can change from one gender to another, or from human to animal, that's just another word for shapeshifter for me. Of course this can't be true. Of course it's not the same word, or else you would have used the word non-binary before. It's a word that just started getting used in the last decade. You can't tell me that's the same thing. You can't tell me that from changing from human to animal means non-binary. Remember the book's Animorphs? That's like, are werewolves non-binary? Are the bats vampires can turn into bats non-binary? This is just the readjustment, the going back and readjusting for a modern audience, because this is something that you believe in now. You can't bring yourself to say that my mind has changed and I believe that this is what it is and this is how I want to portray it and I think we should put it in there. This is the next level of cowardice down from that. The agenda goes downstream and it gets more pathetic as it goes down. And we are down to the Matrix creators, the two brothers who both became transgender. Figure that one out. We are down to their level of reasoning. Oh, this is what we always meant. These concepts weren't discussed at the time. They were not on our mind at any point during the production of it. But now this is what we actually meant. The Matrix producers said they had a non-binary character the whole time too. We just never thought to mention it. So to this guy, non-binary and shapeshifter means the same thing, even though non-binary is like a gender-based thing. Shapeshifter just means you can change to anything you want. Non-binary is obviously gender and sexuality related, but we won't mention that. Luwald says he attacks Wolverine, his closest friend, in the most dramatic way by turning into Jean Grey and putting his head on Wolverine's neck and leaning in for a kiss. Luwald said, that's as non-binary as you can get. It's Morph turning into a woman and coming onto Wolverine to freak him out. It was all there in Morph's character. Now it's become such a social thing that I think people will become more sensitive to how it is used. That's the only difference. We don't see a problem in reading him and didn't feel he was any different. He is different. You said he was different. The show said he's non-binary now. They didn't say nothing and then just continue on and thinking it and writing him the same. They came out and said he's non-binary now. And the audience notices and they don't like it. And you're just like, actually, it's been this way the whole time. He didn't morph into Jean Grey to kiss Wolverine to manipulate him. He actually morphed into Jean Grey to kiss Wolverine because he's non-binary, which is a sexuality. So he's just now declaring that he's different. That's the reason he did it. It has nothing to do with manipulation. It has nothing to do with, the plot of the story. He just did that because he's non-binary. It doesn't make any sense. It's as non-binary as you can get, he says. He says it. He's saying it. He's saying he's doing these things because of his gender, not because he's a shapeshifter. This is what happens when you have to manipulate the whole, theory of the show. You have to manipulate your whole worldview. You have to manipulate your art to fit your worldview. It's crazy talk. Everybody knows it's crazy. And like every video, there's going to be comments that say, oh, you don't understand. Why is this a big deal? The 13-year-old argument. Why do you even care? They have a clear agenda. And it's all coming out. It keeps showing itself. We can talk about the video game stuff after. But it keeps coming out. And whenever people have a problem with it, they don't say, this is just what we feel, this is what we believe, and this is what we want to push, which is the truth. They blame the audience. They blame the consumer because they don't agree with it, because they are used to being so coddled, these people, these artists, these progressives, they're used to being so coddled, and now that people are speaking up and saying, hey, we're not afraid to speak up about this anymore, they are lashing out at the audience. So Julia Wald, the wife of the creator, one of the writers, she says, did we teach you people nothing? Were you not watching? Did we not figure out how to be nice to each other and get along? It's very odd to feel like we're still dealing with the same issues that we were dealing with 30 years ago. We weren't dealing with non-binary issues 30 years ago. One of the voice actors, I'm not sure of who, said similarly, the message needs to be spread throughout the world right now. Or maybe just one world. Sorry, hit the microphone. I hope we can bring hope to people and to children so they can look to the future and go, I have a place in this world. I belong. It's okay to be different. Again, people accuse these people of being, broom sweepers, if you get what I'm saying. People accuse these people, like myself, of having an agenda. And 3 out of the 4 people say, no, this has always been this way. And then this person says, we need to teach children that they look to the future and say it's okay to be different. Why do you need children to know about these different genders and sexualities? Things that they would not be able to conceive possibly on their own. You inject into their mind and say, oh, it's actually for their benefit. It's like an abusive spouse. I'm beating you so that you learn, right? And again, you can go ahead and say what you want and say that I don't know enough about the comic book or the cartoon in this sense. I do. I watched the cartoon religiously as a kid. But these are the people that come out and say it. They say it's always been this way. They think you're stupid because nobody ever disagrees with them. Imagine being in a world where you don't have to work that much. You're an artist. You get paid from your residuals a lot. Disney comes to you and says, hey, here's a bucket of money for this project that you did 30 years ago. And please defend this for us. Or somebody starts attacking it and you don't know how to defend it because this is your progressive worldview and you never get asked about it. So all of a sudden people have a problem with what you guys are doing because you're used to not having to defend this stuff. And you're just like, oh, actually, it's always been this way. Why are you being mean? Why are you being mean about this project? That's what the wife is saying and this Zan person is saying. Didn't we teach you people nothing? You're actually being mean if you disagree with it. If we say that this person was non-binary and we make all the chicks look ugly, you're not allowed to have a problem with it or else you're mean. It always comes down to the meanness.
Turn it up, Jordan.